Welcome back, guys, and in this episode I am machining some really early Harley Davidson engine cases. This is a certain conversion. I can't actually remember what the customer called it, but he's had this welded up on the side of the casing here, and what I've got to do is make, this is like a template that is made. This is one of the barrels, and I've got to make that fit in there and drill the stud holes in there and everything else. So there's two sides to do. It's a 135-degree V. So I'm just setting the mill up to do that, and Sam has been setting up a crank to knife edge for a straight six Jaguar. So I'll show you that, and I think Sam will do some videos on it in a bit. So this is the crank. He's got it running in the lathe nice and true, and he's sending it from this profile to this profile. So the first bit he's going to do is take the exact amount, the same, off each web, and then we'll stick it in the balancer to make sure it's running fine. So we'll get some of that video too. So what I'm doing now is just carrying on with these Harley casings. I'm hoping now that this has been bored, that the liner slides in quite nice. That's quite a snug fit. What I might do actually is just give it a little bit more clearance, because there's no clearance there at all. So I'm going to go down a bit more. I don't want it to be a tight fit. I don't want it to be a loose fit, but I want it to just have a slight bit of wiggle room, because I believe it seals on this part here, not that part there. So if I go out a couple of thou just to give it a bit more, and then I'll do the stud holes after that. So I've just finished the first half of this Harley casing, and I mean, I haven't done any of this welding, but I've ran into a couple of snags what I'm just waiting for the customer to phone me back on. The first one being, if I grab this bit of liner, I don't know quite where to position the stud holes, because basically it's 135-degree V, I believe. That's what I've measured it to be before I started machining, and the inlet or the carburetor is in the middle of the two liners, so I should imagine it's quite critical where that sits. So I think, well, I'm going to wait to speak to my customer, but I think I might leave them and let him bore them. But then I've noticed that these pushrod tubes, where it's had the welding, I don't think you're going to get the tube in there because it sticks out. And also there's a big gouge here. So before I spin it over to machine this side, I think I need to address this problem here. And then also these two angles are different. So if I'm to spot face this and spot face this, I need to just move it a little bit. So at the moment, I think I'm going to move on with another job and leave this set like that, because I don't want to keep wasting my time moving sides and then having to try and move it back. So yeah, that's that. So I've just spoken to my customer, and he actually wants me to leave this nasty bit of weld here because he wants to dry fit it all up first and see exactly how much room he's got. And all of these need modifying, which is a shame, because I just wanted to tidy it up and make it look quite nice. Same here, I thought I could just run this cutter, show you. I thought I could run this cutter just along there to tidy the bottom of that up and make that look neat, but same around here. But he doesn't want any of that doing, so I've clocked this up now. I've removed the webbing out the centre because it only had a little slit in this, so I've only done it rough. I'm going to put the boring cutter down to make it a nice circle, and then bore out the centre and fly cut the top. And then I've got to look at doing something about this bearing here, but he's explained to me a couple of times what he wants doing, but it's all being done over the phone and I don't actually understand what he needs. So I've got to try and work that out and speak to him again about that. But we're coming to the end of this job now, and Sam has been working on the Jag crank all day, knife edging that, so I'll show you that, because that's knife edged now. It's got to be balanced, but we're waiting for some bits to come from my customer Tom. My customer Tom, before we can finish that off. But so he's done a really nice job of knife edging all of these webs here. He's left enough meat on there for balancing, so if we need to just grind away we can. So he's done a good job of that, Sam has. I'm not sure if he weighed it before and after, but I should imagine it's took a fair bit of weight off it at least, and then helped just cut the windage down from the oil as well. And this is a Jag straight 6 crank. So Sam has knife edged this Jag crank now. Done a good job of that. So that's all these main webs been knife edged. So what we've got to do with this is balance it now. So we'll balance it just as the crank to start off with, and then Tom, my customer, is going to send us the flywheel, front pulley and everything to finish the balance off. But if we just get this in, then we can put this back in the box, and technically the job's done then until he brings the other bits. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the job that Sam's done on that. And I've actually got an update on the Harley casings as well. My customer David has been down and we've discussed that, and the work that I showed earlier that he said that he didn't want us to touch, he now agrees that it needs touching. So although it's a little bit of a pain that we've got to stick it back on the mill and set it all up, it will be a better job for it, so we can make it look nice and sort out the rest of his bits. So I'll show you that. David, my customer, has given us the go ahead now to clean up this edge that he had welded up, because you can't get these to fit. So that's my job. I'm going to spin this round, actually, get this level, get this one level, measure that step there so I can replicate that. I'm going to do this side first, trim all this up nice and neat, spot face these two, and then I've got to put a blubber weld on this and then sort this out for him as well. But I'm quite pleased that he's letting us finish this bit off, because I was a bit worried that trying to sort that out might damage the work that we've done on the top here. So he's ran me one of these push rod tubes over, and yeah, we can sort it. And then another good thing that's happened today, while I've been machining some more of the Harley MGB blocks, Sam has got my crank grinder up and running. So this has been out of action for probably 2 months, I'd say. So we've got a pile, or I've got a pile of cranks to machine, but he's put a new electric switch on it. He's plumbed it all in for me. We've had to clean the wheel because I chipped the wheel slightly, so we've sorted the wheel out, rebalanced it all, and yeah, so the first cranks that I'm going to be doing on that are some Harley MGB ones, and then I'll do the backlog of work that I've got for the machine. But my first job is to sort this Harley out. So that's this side all neatened up and spot faced. This side's set further back than this side, so I've left a little bit of shape there to try and keep a little bit of meat around that part there. But what I need to do now is try and get this fitted to see how much more's got to come out. And what I think I could potentially do is very carefully just mark that and maybe just run along a little bit closer into there. I don't know if I can lose some of this. Maybe I can just get rid of a little bit of that on the belt grinder. I mean, I know he wants to keep as much of this meat there as possible. Yeah, I think there's probably 1/2 mil I can lose along that shoulder there, and get him to try that, I think. But we're nearly there. Like I say, this one's fine. The welding's a little bit of a mess, but there's nothing I could do about that. I didn't weld it. I've left that little detail in there. I'm going to deburr along there. Yeah, let's try and get it to fit a bit better. So that's this side done, and I've chamfered this edge. I've machined it back along here, I don't know if you could see, and I've left it. I don't really take no more out of there. So what David needs to do is, I've removed some of that, but there's still quite a lot of meat there he could take away, which I think if he was to grind some of that away, like, I could virtually get it down. If I was to try and push it, it would go, I think. But if he grinds a bit more of that away, then that will fit. And then whoever's welded it, like I say, this wasn't welded by us, but whoever's welded it, there's a blowhole there. So I think he's going to have to just put some silicone in there to keep that sealed up. But these are all spot faced now, nice and true. And onto this side. This side's going to be a bit trickier because I'm going to try and undercut this a little bit. So I've turned the machine around and I've set up to do this side. I'm going to trim this bit back first and then see what we're like for putting some weld on there. Screw that back in there. And away we go. Oh no, I better tighten that up. Allen key. The last job that I'm doing on this Harley barrel now is to fit this roller bearing in the side of the casing. And what I'm doing is I'm machining off part of the original of the Harley, and I'm mainly doing that so I can get the perfect center point of this metal race at the top, and also the one down here, which you can't really see. But the metal was curved over. Sorry, I forgot to film it before. So I'm just machining it off so I can get the measurement. So my next job is to centralise the milling machine with this bore in here. So I've machined out the hole that was, well, there was like a bit of housing that covered that up, and it was, you could barely get your finger in it. So I've machined that away, because what I want to do is put this DTI in here. In fact, let's put the GoPro down. I want to put this DTI in here like that, and then I'm going to turn the mill, or turn the chuck I should say, and then I can centralise the hole. So that needs to be turned a little bit. It's got a B bang on. So we've got 26. So that needs to go that way just a tad. So that's now 24. That's 24, and there it's 24, 24 there too. So that's now in the central of, or in the middle of that hole. That's all centralised. So I'm going to lock the bed of the machine off nice and tight. I'm going to then lift the chuck up like that. Take my DTI out. And then what I need to do is make sure that the bore at the bottom is directly underneath this bore. So I need to true up and make sure that everything is running parallel. So I'm going to run down this edge straight through to the middle and make sure that I've got the same distance at the bottom on them 4 points as what I did at the top. That didn't make a bit of sense, did it? But I know what I mean, I know what I'm doing. So trust me, it's all going to be good. If it's out, then we're going to have to just try and jack the casings up with bits of feeler gauge to get it absolutely bang on to try and true it. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be spot on. So I've got rid of the centre bearing race and I've just spot faced this. Now I'm going to bore the centre out to the right side. So I'm getting close now to the final size. So I've probably got another 2 cuts or something to come out of it. There's an oil feed hole there, which I must admit the cutter don't like going over that. And what I'm going to do is measure this again. I want to get it where I'm within sort of 10-15 thou of the final size, because what I want to do is, as I get near the final size, I want to take some real small cuts out. So yeah, at that that says 14 thou. So what I'm going to do now is only take real tiny cuts. I'm going to take the cutter out. I'm going to dress my cutter so I know that I've got a real good edge there. And yeah, finish it off, get it to the right size. So with me being 14 thou away, what I want is around a 3 thou interference fit for that. This oil feed hole, which is down here as well, you can't see it, but it's not actually halfway down the bore, and the oil feed for the rollers is halfway down. So what I'm going to do is work out where it needs to be, and then I'm going to groove this race so the oil can run into the center groove. I'm going to put a groove along here or here because I don't actually know where my customers. I don't know where this is going to end up with my customer, because he has got to set this up for the crank. So we're going to fit it, but he's going to probably need to press it one way or the other. But yeah, I'm happy with that so far. That's good. So it's off the machine now, and what I'm going to do is just hone this bore out, what I've bored through. I mean, it's a nice bored finish, but I want to get it absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do is use the small honing head on my hone. This is what I use for like the motorbike and the cart barrels. So I'm just going to blip up and down it just to make sure that what I've bored out is absolutely perfect. So the Harley block is now done, or casings. So I'll just give you a rundown of what I've done. This was heavily built up with weld. A customer had that done elsewhere, and it's to fit different barrels to it and a different crankshaft. This is a really early Harley engine casing. I'll find out off my customer exactly what it is, and I'll write that in the description, because I don't know at this minute in time. I can't remember. I'm nowhere near a Harley expert, so this is all unknown to me. So it's basically, what did he want me to do, and I'll do it. So I've had to open up where the barrels fit. So this is a template that my customer made to bring in, and then basically they fit. That's that one, I believe. They fit in there. He's gonna bore out. I know it's that way. Oh, there we are. So that fits in there, and he's going to bore out the stud holes for the barrels, and then we just flick that one over and use the opposite side of it. And that fits in there nice and neat. And what I've done is I've machined this away so it's flush with the barrel on both sides, so it still supports the ceiling face. Put that one back in there and show you along there. But basically we haven't got any overhang. Before, the overhang was coming out across, well, virtually up to that stud hole on these pushrod tube chests. And then inside here, this side was fully open like that, and this side just had a little slot in it, so I've opened that out as he requested. I've then diamond cut the casing faces. He told me to do it to 135 degrees. When I measured the original, it was at 134 degrees, so I've just adjusted it slightly and set it to 135. And a quick trick to know that the angle is pretty much perfect is this casing bolt here. To know that I've got it nice and true, the machining line is perfectly along the middle of the hole, both sides, so I know that that's machined pretty good. Then first of all, he was going to tackle, or next he was going to tackle all this bad weld and this himself. I got him in to show it him because I didn't think it was very good, to be honest, so he then decided to leave it here and let us sort that out. So these are different angles and different depths. So I machined what looked like the worst one first, which was this, and then dropped that down by the same, and then tied it up along here. What he has got to do is, with these little adapters, they still need to be machined. I could have machined more out of here, but I didn't want to touch that, so there's an overhang here what he can lose that. So I think what he's going to do is, or if he wants to leave the other three with me, I can do them myself, is machine back to this taper and then machine along there, and then that will slot in perfect there. This one's fine because there's plenty of gap there anyway. And then there was a nasty groove in this side, so I machined the groove away, machined this edge nice and neat, and then dropped this one by the same. And then once again, this one has got some overhang, so on the other one of these pushrod tubes, he needs to just machine that away, or once again bring it here and let us do it. Then the next thing, because of the crank that he's fitting, he didn't want to run the original bearing design, so I then had to set it up in the mill, plot the centre of this, and then make sure it lines up with this side here as well. I then machined the top off, but then didn't realise there was a bearing race in there, so I tried to machine it and it wouldn't machine. It was so hard. But then I I put the grinder on it actually and could see that there was a line, so split it down, pressed out the bearing race, and then this material here is quite nice, it's quite soft. There's an oil hole that runs here, you can just see it when it runs through there. So the only downside to that is when the cutter went over the oil hole, it bounced a little bit. Didn't cause any problem in size, but it just changes the shape of it. Not the shape, the finish of it. And then what I've done is, because I wanted this a certain interference fit, the new race, I then left 7 thousandths out, and then I've honed it down so there's 3 or 4 thou left as an interference fit for that. So he'll either have to freeze that or heat that up, and then that'll drop in. I was going to press that in for him, but this needs to be in at a certain position to do with the crank. So the guy that's building the engine for him, he's going to fit that and then get that space in right, and then either find a way to lock that himself with an oil seal, or it might come back here to have that done. I don't know, but that's it. That's the job complete for me. First one of these I've done. Quite labour intensive because I've never done one before, and setting it up and knowing that it's perfect, yeah, it just takes time basically, but really happy with that. I'll find out what it is. I'll leave it as a description as well. I'll leave it in the descriptions part as well, because I don't know what it is. There's a certain name for the conversion. And yeah, that's it. On to the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. And if you could leave the word Harley in the comments section, that would be appreciated. If you've watched this and you've liked the content, if you could subscribe, please. It doesn't cost anything to do it, but it does mean a lot to the channel, or a lot to me. And yeah, catch you later.